Hi everybody, I'm Laura Keenan. I'm a solutions consultant at LinkedIn, and I'm also the leader of the Employee Resources Group for Veterans at LinkedIn in New York City. And I'm here today with Jerome Amos of NBCUniversal. He's a senior software engineer, and he's also the leader of their Employee Resources Group. He's going to talk to us today about what he did in the military, how he became a senior software engineer, and some of the exciting project work that the Veteran Employee Resources Group is conducting here. So with that, Jerome, can you start by telling us what your job was when you were in the Air Force?
Yes, I can. In the Air Force, I was a sergeant, swing shift supervisor. I worked on electrical systems, hydraulic systems, and pneumatic systems for KC-135, B-52, T-38, and T-37. Basically, I worked on anything that touched anything on a plane and made sure that it can stay up in the air, because that's basically the heart system of an aircraft.
Awesome. And now you're a senior software engineer?
That is correct. I'm a senior software engineer here at NBC. I work on the growth team for News Digital, and that's what I do. We try and bring in more clients, more audience for the news application called NBC News.
So one of the things that I'm very jealous about is that NBC and their parent company Comcast have an amazing initiative to hire more veterans. So can you talk to us a little bit about what that is?
Definitely. It's an initiative that started by our particular parent company called Comcast. So it's Comcast, NBC, Universal, and they have an initiative that is trying to drive for 21,000 by 2021.
21,000 veterans. So
yes.
If you haven't...
Or spouses.
Or spouses.
Or supporters coming in, but mainly family and veterans or active duty.
So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest goals that I've heard about. But I really was excited to talk to Jerome because I know that there are a lot of viewers out there who maybe have considered getting into software engineering and wasn't sure how to do it. And he has a really interesting story. I was telling him, I think he's like a phoenix. He just rose again. He had lots of career pivots. And one of the things that he took was his background in the military with photography, and became an entrepreneur, and then self-taught himself skills that allowed him to be a software engineer. So I just kind of summarized, but can you give us a little bit more on that, Jerome?
Well, yes, I can. When I was in the service, one of the side little things I did was I was a photographer. I was the squadron photographer based on my particular branch. They said, hey, you can take pictures for us of us leaving, going to war, yada, yada. It's something I was really interested in, a great hobby. I took that and I've been running with it ever since. When I exited the military, I went and started with my first photography studio that actually took my high school photographs and said, I can go in there and help that guy. He needs help. Turns out that guy had already retired when I went back and sold it to someone else, but he needed help anyway. So from there, I grew into several other careers while doing photography on the side. One of the things was I was a R&D technician. I worked for this place called Circuit City as a home repair or home installer for televisions and home electronics, programming remote controls, and a few other things, all the way up through car sales and into this, along with teaching.
Yeah, and so one of the things that Jerome shared with me, and I really loved it, was that he is a photographer, he's a sculptor, he's a painter, but he's also incredibly analytical. And I think for veterans, sometimes there's a misperception that they are cold or maybe robotic, but actually a lot of veterans have a marriage of both creativity and an analytical mind. And I think Jerome is a living example of that, because as he was an entrepreneur, he kept refining his craft, and you self-taught yourself coding.
That is correct. Yeah, one of the things that you need to do when you're a photographer is you have to market. So I had to learn how to do that. And back when I started, I needed to learn how to program a website. These things were new and hot back then. So one of the things I learned how to do was program something called Flash. Well, I made a slide presentation, put it on a business card that was the size of a CD or size of a business card. Yeah, and made a presentation that was to music. From there, I grew my business and my craft, learning how to project that information to other people in the form of teaching. So that's what I did.
So for veterans who maybe haven't considered becoming a software engineer and they don't even know where to start, what would you advise them? For you, it was an evolution and a business need as an entrepreneur to develop the skills, but would it be an up-level program, upskills, finding a mentor? What would you recommend?
I would recommend all of that. Finding a mentor, going to one of these overnight successes, I like to call them, but they're really not. They're 3 to 6 month classes, or even 9 month classes.
Like Fullstack Academy is
like
an
Fullstack
example.
Academy, yes, definitely like Fullstack. Right. Also, just try and get into the community. I'm going to a meetup tonight. Just to learn from other people. The nice thing about being in software development, especially on the web, is the web can teach you how to be on the web. Use it. It's free.
So one of the other things, and this is the last thing that I wanted to call out, actually I have two things that I'm going to share that Jerome shared with me, was that he has been married for 32 years, so bravo to Jerome, and he said that he was married when he exited the military as a young enlisted person. And so I know a lot of people that I've mentored, their family factors in to the type of job that they think that they can get. And so when you're thinking about advising somebody with software engineering, why would you advocate that engineering would be good for somebody who might have responsibilities beyond themselves?
It's a great thing because in our particular career, all it takes is a computer and we'll travel. So literally you can be working at home. A good portion of the engineers that are here actually take the time and work from home when they can. So that's a great life-family exchange. So work-life balance, as we like to call it. Right? Working in engineering gives you the ability to be on the beach and coding, and you can do that. I know several engineers who are traveling constantly and are doing their work and still getting the American dollar.
Wonderful. And the last thing that we didn't talk about, but I think it's so important, is I'm really passionate about our Veteran Employee Resources Group, and you can tell that Jerome is as well. And part of that is because of the sense of community that we want to carry from our past lives into our present life. And one of the things that is very helpful is getting involved very quickly with your Veteran Employee Resources Group when you start at your company. And Jerome had an experience that I think captures this really well. So what was it like for you here at NBCUniversal Comcast when you started with the Veteran Employee Resources Group?
Well, I was asked to attend a particular mixer. Their first one that I was invited to was at a bar that's just really close to us. It's only a couple blocks away. My boss's boss had suggested it to me. I ended up going. I was like, yeah, I got some time. I'll go see what's going on over there. And one of the things they were doing was giving out jackets. But because of my beautiful shape, I needed to fit a particular jacket. And the only one that they had in-house was the one that the guy was actually wearing. He took that jacket off his back and gave it to me. I said, this is something I haven't known that I was even missing. That level of camaraderie.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of experiences like that myself, just people going above and beyond, and I think it's because of the affinity that they've had for their military colleagues and those in the community. So as we close out this video, thank you to Jerome. Thank you to NBCUniversal and their parent company Comcast for having us here today, and I hope that you learned a little bit more about software engineering. I know I did, so see you next week. Bye-bye.